Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and welcome once again to the vast and ominous comic book vault. Today on the vault, we're going to talk about new comics. I've got 6 brand new ones to review for you, and the first one today is Ninja Turtles number 17 from IDW. This issue is bringing in a lot of the Dimension X stuff, and we've been hinting at that. We've seen some stuff from it. We've seen the Technodrome starting to be built, and we've seen the neutrinos. But now the neutrinos come to Earth, and we're starting to really build a lot of that lore mythology and taking all of that fun, cartoon, crazy stuff from the 80s and finding a way to build it into this slightly more, I don't even want to say slightly, this is more serious, of course, and more character-driven stuff. And it just takes all this goofy stuff and finds a way to fit it in believably into this great world with its own internal logic where you really believe all of it, or at least I do. I like that we've got all of this lore building about StockGen, and that the Turtles are being very proactive in trying to figure out what all of that is about. And really, it's about time. You know, it's issue 17 now, and while we've gotten a lot done for the backgrounds of the Turtles and all of the stuff that happened before they were reincarnated, where we've been given hints about all that kind of stuff, and learning about you know, Shredder and Krang and all these characters. I mean, we've had a lot happen by this point in the series, but exactly how all that fits together has been a mystery, and it's really time to solve it, and it seems like that's where this is going, which is really quite fantastic. I like everything about this issue. It's just really, really good, and the next issue with the next cover with the Dimension X stuff looks absolutely crazy and huge and nutso, and I'm really excited to see the Turtles finally have to go up against Krang himself physically, because it's obvious that that's coming up pretty quick. Next up for IDW, Ghostbuters number 16, written by Eric Burnham and drawn by Dan Schoening. I love Christmas stories that are actually about something and move characters forward and move the narrative forward. It seems like over the last few years we've been going more and more in this direction, where if you're gonna do a Christmas story, the rule of thumb is that we can't have those silly, superfluous Christmas specials that we used to get all the time in the 80s and 90s, where it's all about the characters just learning the true meaning of Christmas, or finding out that Santa Claus is real, or both. Where it's just it used to be these sorts of things were always like a throwaway episode, and now we, in order to turn that on its ear, so we're not doing that sort of thing anymore, it seems like Christmas episodes very often are sometimes the most important, or at least very important, kind of mythology sorts of episodes. And we saw that this week with Arrow on the CW, where like some of the most important information, one of the most revealing episodes of the season so far was a Christmas episode. We kind of have that here a little bit. This issue is about Winston, and is a lot of character stuff for Winston, which I really appreciate. That's one of the great things that Eric Burnham has done, is really finally give Winston more of a character, give him some backstory. We find out here that he used to be a Marine, and I don't know if that's something that maybe we were told in some other incarnation of Ghostbusters or not. I certainly don't remember it, so I was very interested to find that out here. And Winston is going through this character arc that kind of plays into the fact that he used to be a Marine, where he's trying to juggle putting his life on the line as a Ghostbuster and his personal life, specifically wanting to marry his girlfriend. And the idea of him, that he used to be a Marine really plays in, because there's this old there's this old sergeant that used to work with him, who comes back to him as a ghost, and it's a ghost that doesn't like that he's a Ghostbuster, and of course because he doesn't want to be busted, right? And so you get the sense that maybe there's going to be a lot of this going on, of ghosts that are trying to stop the Ghostbusters from being Ghostbusters, and this plays in great with this character piece and character study of Winston, who's again, already kind of waffling. Do I still want to be a Ghostbuster because my girlfriend is afraid of marrying me, of marrying somebody who puts his life on the line all the time? One of these classic kind of cop plots, you know, with the wife that is always worried that her husband might not come home, and it's great that that's played in this comedic thing with the Ghostbusters, where it's a little bit weightier and it's a little bit more about something. And Eric Burnham is fantastic at that. Pick this up, fantastic issue. Really excited to see where it goes. There's also some fun Ghostbusters 2 stuff coming back in this, and this hilarious reference that you might miss if you blink to the dancing toaster. I'll let you get the issue and try to find that for yourself. Okay, next up is Marvel, and I usually have a ton of Marvel books. This week I just have one, surprisingly, and it's Avengers Arena #1 by Dennis Hopeless. I wanted to give this a shot because I like Dennis Hopeless a lot, and I'm not entirely sure what I think of it, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if this is really my cup of tea or not. I'm going to recommend this issue. I'm going to recommend that you give it a shot. There have been a lot of complaints just about the very premise of this book, and they're all very understandable. I kind of want to stay on it a little while and see where it's going, and if I want to, or if it's even really for me. So the premise of this is basically Hunger Games in the Marvel Universe. It's teenagers it's teenage superpowered kids, 16 of them, who are all picked up by Arcade, put on his new murder world, and made to fight each other until there's only one left. And what I like, because this is, Hunger Games came out recently, and it's kind of obvious just reading the first few pages that it's kind of like Hunger Games. And I like that Dennis Hopeless kind of turns that around a little bit, and by admitting to that fact. He, of course, obviously he knows this, so he doesn't try to hide it. He doesn't try to pretend like this is a new premise or anything. So what he does to curb that a little bit is he has Arcade come right out and basically say that he got this idea from reading Hunger Games. He doesn't come out and say Hunger Games, but he says that he got the idea from teen fiction, and you know just what he's talking about. A lot of people aren't real excited about this series, or actually kind of upset that it's out, because they're afraid of some of their favorite kind of minor teenage Marvel characters getting killed off, because some of these characters from Runaways and some other series that have had mutants or otherwise superpowered teenage kids. I completely understand that. What I like is that Hopeless is trying his very best to get us so invested in these characters that when they inevitably get killed off, we will be heartbroken and devastated about that. If you don't want to see that happen, you might not want to read this book. If you are not familiar with any of these characters, you might enjoy it more, though. It being a book that's, about comic book characters getting killed. Now, of course, the danger with that also is that it's comic book characters getting killed. Most of them come back at some point, so you sort of wonder what a whole book about this is going to be like. Now, of course, we don't know how many people he's really going to kill off. The idea is supposed to be with Arcade that there's 16 of them, and only one will survive. I don't know if that's really going to happen. I don't know how many he's going to kill off, and I won't reveal here who or if anyone gets killed off in this issue. Having said that, I did enjoy this, and I do think that he has a good voice for a lot of these characters, though there are so many characters, and I don't personally know hardly any of them, that I wasn't able to really get too far in the heads of any of them until the end, with a couple in particular. I do think that the series right out the gate is moving a little bit quickly. I like the fact that he jumps right in with the premise, but I do think that maybe a bit too much, I don't want to say too much happens at the beginning. It's just that the premise is really in your face right away. It's like a couple pages in, okay, and already we're on Murder World, and already we have Arcade. And I would have liked to have maybe spent some time with these characters a little bit, at least a few of them individually, before they get thrown into this place. Especially because this is, according to Dennis Hopeless, in the letters pages in the back, and yes, there's actually letters pages in this first issue. This is supposed to be also for people who don't know these characters, and I would have liked to have maybe gotten to know them a little bit longer before all of the crazy ensues. So anyway, somewhat maybe of a lukewarm recommendation for me. I enjoyed it. Again, I'm not sure if it's really for me, but I think I'm going to move forward and try this for a couple more issues. Next up is Batman number 15. So my Batman books always seem to bunch up on a week. Either have no Batman at all, or it's half my books for a week. And this week, no exception. 3 Batman books this week. And the first one, Batman number 15 by Scott Snyder. So in the last issue, we found out that the Joker had kidnapped Alfred, and not only is that scary because, well, it's Alfred, but also the frightening thing is, does that mean that, the question of, does that mean that the Joker knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman? Because after all, he kidnapped his butler. Now, Bruce is going on with the Batman family like there's no way he could possibly know. And that's really what this whole issue is about, is mostly Batman in the Batcave being confronted with the entire Bat family. We're talking Tim Drake and Jason Todd and Dick Grayson and Batgirl and Barbara Gordon, everybody. Besides Alfred, because he's kidnapped. And everybody's there trying to figure out what it is that Batman is holding back that he's not telling them. And I won't give away what that is, but when we find out, it seems more and more like maybe the Joker really does know that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and by extension, everybody else. Everybody's identities. And it's not just that he kidnapped Alfred, there are all these other things that he's done so far, and other people that he's threatened, where his MO seems to be, he knows who everybody is, and he's going after their loved ones now, which is everybody's biggest nightmare, of course, if you're in the Batman family, is Joker finds out who you are, and he goes after everybody. And this goes back, of course, to Killing Joke, where he goes after Barbara Gordon, not knowing that she's Batgirl, but just because she's associated with Commissioner Gordon, and that's just like, even though he's a policeman without a mask, that makes it almost worse because everybody knows who your family is there. You know, it's like these superheroes, and you hope that nobody ever finds out who you really are, mostly so that your family doesn't get killed. That's one of the biggest tropes in superhero comics. That's one of the biggest things that's used all the time in superhero films, and it's scary. It's scarier when it's the Joker, and it's not just Batman that's affected, of course, it's everybody. And Bruce swears up and down that there's no possible way that he could know that Bruce is Batman. He's clearly hiding something, and he seems to be in denial, and we're not real sure exactly why, because everything does seem to add up that he knows who everybody is. And then maybe not, and so that's this huge question now. We don't know. It's impossible to know. And Bruce has some good points about how everybody he's attacked so far, it's possible that he has other reasons for doing that with other connections to Batman, especially because of Batman Incorporated. But boy, it sure doesn't seem likely. It sure seems like he knows. So that's the big question in this. It's absolutely terrifying, and the big reveal at the end, the big cliffhanger, is really exciting. And I really liked this issue. But I am really wondering about Bruce's logic, and I wonder if he's just in denial. And if he is just in denial, that's a little bit disappointing because he's making no sense in the Batcave unless he knows something that we don't know. And I'm very intrigued to find out what that is. So I don't know. My like or dislike for this book will with this particular issue will somewhat hinge on what happens after it, but I have a lot of faith in Snyder, and I think that he's going someplace with this that I'm not suspecting yet. He doesn't usually have characters just do things that don't make any sense just because, oh, Batman's frazzled because it's the Joker. I really think that it's more than that, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt right now. Batman 15, very good, I think. And next up, very quickly, Batman Arkham Unhinged number 9. I'm not going to go too far into this. This is a Mad Hatter story, and a very well-written Mad Hatter story from Derek Friedhoffs. Once again, I keep saying this, somebody give Derek Friedhoffs a regular Batman title when he's done with Arkham Unhinged, because my goodness, he's good with Batman. This is kind of a typical run-of-the-mill story for Mad Hatter, though it's good. I'm not a big Mad Hatter fan, so I wasn't extremely thrilled with this just because I don't like Mad Hatter that much. But I really like how he writes Mad Hatter. He goes back to that old-school Mad Hatter finding interesting rhymes and play on words, and he keeps finding different associations where groups of words sound like the name Alice, and of course he's always going after a girl that he thinks is Alice. And so yeah, the writing's really great, and he gets together a bunch of women in the DC universe that we know and makes them all Alice, and that's kind of it's kind of a cool idea. And this one hinges primarily on, or focuses, sorry, primarily on Vicky Vale, who was, of course, in the video game. And Derek Friedoff's knowledge of the bits of the video game is absolutely uncanny. I find myself wondering how many times he's played it, and what all of his notes look like for that game, because he just knows it inside and out. Anyway, pretty good issue of Arkham Unhinged. Not really the best thing he's put out so far, just because, yeah, it's a Mad Hatter story, and it's kind of what you would expect. But still quite good. Okay, now let's go over to Dan Torrey, who's going to bring you some things that Captain Logan doesn't read.
Hi everybody, and welcome once again to Things Captain Logan Doesn't Read with Dan. Today I've got two comic books to review for you, and they're both a part of the Spider-Man family of books. So let's begin, without further ado, with this one. The Amazing Spider-Man, number 699.1. This one's written by Joe Keatinge and Dan Slott, with artwork by Marco Tichetto and Valentine Delandro, I believe that's how you pronounce it. This book sets up the Morbius the Living Vampire ongoing series that's coming out in January, which will be written by Keatinge, and that makes this a much better offering than the Venom one that they did to set up that series a while ago, because Keatinge wrote part of, if not most of this, so we get a good idea of what he'll be doing with the book tonally, character-wise, etc. This book, in particular, this issue, goes back to the origin of Morbius and adds some key things with his childhood that change the context in which we view later events that were already previously established in canon. Keatinge goes about paralleling Peter Parker and Morbius in here, in that he shows just how the nurture one receives during childhood can alter an individual's path in life immensely. For Morbius, obviously, it ends up in a very sinister place by the end, mainly because of how he was raised. It's an idea that Slott had been playing with in the Alpha story arc, but it works much better here. Morbius's childhood, without spoiling anything, seemed like a blend of Matt Murdock's origin with some Norman Bates characterization, with some of the characters in here thrown in for good measure. Seeing stuff like that applied to Morbius's character set a nice horror-bent tone for this that I'm really excited for. It looks like we're going to get a kooky sci-fi horror vampire book. It looks to be pretty interesting. Overall, I really enjoyed this one, and I'd recommend it to anyone who was curious about the Morbius ongoing. I'm sure Keatinge will be picking up threads that are introduced here. Alright, so the next book we have up on the chopping block is Scarlet Spider number 12, and before I go any further, I'd like to congratulate all the people who have worked on this, especially Yost for getting the 12 issues, telling some great stories, and just selling enough to stay around, really. B and C-list books don't really exist at Marvel anymore, so bravo to you guys. I've been really enjoying this since the beginning of the run. This one in particular is a Christmas issue, and it also deals with the fallout of Minimum Carnage. I was going to say Maximum Carnage. I mix those up all the time. Kane in this issue is sort of struggling with the things that he had to do during Minimum Carnage, thinking that he's nothing but a weapon, like he had believed he was before he took on this new superhero life as the Scarlet Spider, attempting to redeem himself. The whole Christmas motif is used to pull the supporting cast together around Kane, so that in the end he sort of comes to the realization that he can trust people and let them into his life, and that he doesn't have to confront every problem alone. But by the end, his old life comes back to haunt him a little bit, and his friends may be put in harm's way in the future, we don't know. The power of an individual's choices on the world around him has always been a classic Spider-Man motif, which this issue pulls off beautifully, and I think that's why I've been enjoying this book so much since it started, because Yost really gets what makes Spider-Man work, and he's been applying those principles to Scarlet Spider, so that's what I think is the key to why I've been enjoying this so much. He also calls back to something that was very cool to me. He called back to one of my favorite Spider-Man Christmas issues, which was Spectacular number 112, with the Santa gang that has the glasses and the machine guns, which was written by Peter David back in the 80s. It was very cool to see them return, and I really appreciated that little callback. Overall, I enjoyed this one quite a bit, and I think that's all the books I have for you guys this week. I really enjoyed both of the Spider-Man related books I picked up this week. They were really enjoyable, and I hope you guys enjoyed my reviews.
Thanks very much, Dan. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about today is Jayson's pick. Jayson, happily this week, picked Batgirl number 15, and I really wanted to talk about this one because, as everybody knows by now, I'm sure, Gail Simone got fired from this book this week, and much to her dismay, she had no idea this was going to happen, and apparently, and I'm going to be talking about this on the live show tonight, but apparently a new editor came in, from my understanding, a new Bat editor came in and kicked her off for apparently no good reason. Of course, we don't really know the inner workings, but it's really unfortunate, and I mean, I'm not afraid for Gail Simone. I'm sure she's going to find she'll very quickly find more work, and she's got other things in the works to create her own stuff. What's really kind of exciting, by the way, is I saw some tweets today that she had been talking to folks at Marvel. So I kind of wonder if maybe she's going to be doing something at Marvel pretty soon, and that would be very exciting. Anyway, but it's really sad that she's off this book, and I haven't been supporting this book just because I haven't really cared for the idea of giving Oracle her legs back. I'm in the camp that feels like that was kind of a step back for the character. Having said that, it's Gail Simone. I thought it was awful what they did to her, considering the fact that this book has been performing and doing really well. And Jayson saw this cover and really liked it, and I said, yeah, you're right, let's go ahead and support this book this week. So that's what I did. This is really quite good and freaking disturbing. It's just the best way I can describe it. This book is mad. What Snyder has been doing with the Joker here is pretty terrifying. This is absolutely horrific, and I don't even know how much I want to say about it, because I don't know what I can say without talking about really creepy, disturbing, crazy things. But basically, the idea here is the Joker is threatening Barbara Gordon's mother. And as I was talking about with Batman 15, he's been threatening the loved ones of the Bat family, and this is one of those examples. And this, I think, must take place after this, as far as I can tell. But anyway, so the Joker is doing this crazy mad plot where he's trying to get Batgirl to agree to marry him, and he's threatening her mother to do that. And where it goes by the end is absolutely mortifying. And that's all I'm going to say about it. This is really good, but it might keep me up a little bit at night. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching the Comic Book Vault, and thank you, Dan, as always, for bringing everybody things that Captain Logan doesn't read. If you're ever wanting to send me anything to review, me or Vince, to the Comic Book Vault, you can always send us stuff to our P.O. Box. That's Geekvolution, P.O. Box 14183, Lenexa, Kansas 66285. We've got a whole bunch of stuff in the queue right now that folks have sent us that we're going to be reviewing here in the coming weeks, and we want to thank everybody for that. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks as always for watching. Like I said, I'm Captain Logan, and happy reading.